Hi everybody, it's time for another thread. I got this idea once again from one of my favorite channels, Chris Profi's Musically Obsessed. He was telling us about some of the albums that defined the 80s for him, and he chose five, so I'm going to piggyback on that. The first one that I chose is an album by a band that I have loved for many, many years. They're out of Toronto, Canada, a band called Cowboy Junkies. And I remember my parents listening to their second album, The Trinity Session, constantly growing up. I mean, this album is practically ingrained in my brain. And so that was my first choice. My second choice is Paul Simon's Graceland, which is another album that we listened to constantly when I was growing up. I remember my mom and I loving the You Can Call Me Out video and dancing to it. Um, and another one for me is Neil Young's Trans, and I pretty well explained why this album uh, defined the define and I pretty well explained the history of this album in my review of Trans, but it was really hard for me to pick which Neil album defined the decade for me. Trans just is steeped in that 80s, you know, 80s music sound with a lot of the computer, the synthesizers and the vocoder songs. And another um, album is Tina Turner's Private Dancer. Now, this is an album that I kind of discovered kind of way out of, discovered as an adult. And the reason I chose Private Dancer, it's another example of an album that is steeped in um, synth pop, and there's a lot of synthesizers, sprinkled throughout the album, and it's just steeped in that 80s sound. And my last pick is Phil Collins' Face Value, which is another example of the video for In the Air Tonight was always on MTV or VH1 when I was growing up. And unlike Private Dancer and Trans, there's it's not. I mean, there's a little bit uh, of synth, sprinkled throughout the record, but it's not steeped in it like it is with Private Dancer and some of the albums that I mentioned previously. So I hope you enjoyed this.